In today's video, I have my top 10 players cavity back irons of 2024. There are some irons in here that you will not believe have made it, and there also might be some irons that you can't believe aren't in my top 10. Hi everyone, my name is James Robinson and welcome back to this YouTube channel. So a player's cavity back iron, I think, is the creme de la creme. Not all players want to use blades, but all players want that little bit of forgiveness whilst having a nice forged feel and sleek, good-looking looks. So, in at number 10, and guys, if I have some irons in here that you don't agree with, please get in the comments below and let me know. I don't take this personally, and if you think there's some irons that shouldn't be in here as well, let me know. In at number 10, I have the Tora irons. Now, this is one that certainly you may never have heard of, and you can get these in lots of different finishes. There are lots of different options for that direct-to-consumer market. You can even order just the heads if you like, but I think these are a really, really cool option. So Chris got these from the guys at Tora Direct. And when we talk about today's video, we're not going to delve too much into technology. I reviewed all these irons that we do have at the side of me, and the tech's very, very similar. So what I'll do is I'll talk you through what perimeter weighting is, what a cavity back iron is, and if any of the irons do feature a specific technological story, then we'll touch on it. But for me, the Toras at the price that you can get them for feel really, really nice, feel really, really solid, and just offer a lot of things which I think the bigger brands could well learn from. For me, they're not quite the softest irons out there to say that I've got that forged head, and that's why they're down at number 10. But again, look where that finished. I didn't even see. But for the value for money, I could quite easily have these further up. And I've thought long and hard about just what order I have these irons in. You can see there's lots of different irons, lots of different finishes, lots of different brands. But for me, the Tora irons are certainly an iron which I think will become more of a household name, almost like a Tacomo, the further we do go. That felt absolutely... I'm saying that like it doesn't feel as good as the others. It just goes to show how strong a lineup we have in 2024 for this category of irons in 2023. I'm going to end up hitting loads of shots here today, and I'm really, really pleased with that. Because some of these, look at that, yes! That flag's out there, 180 yards. And that's another one, bang smack in the middle. Number 10 is Tora. So in at number 9, and rather annoyingly, I've lent these irons out to someone and they're that good, I haven't got them back. But they are the Mizuno 223 irons, but I brought these out. I'm going to hit you a couple with them because I really, really enjoy them. And it's the only Mizuno I have here in the studio. But the 223s are a spectacular looking iron, a spectacular feeling iron. And the reason why they're so low down is because I almost feel like Mizuno are almost losing their identity a little bit with their irons. I was really hoping for a new JPX Pro iron. I was really hoping for something that would kind of wet the whistle that way. But the 223s are a fantastic iron in their own right. Obviously, the 221s are a great bladed iron. The 225s are a really nice, big, hollow-bodied iron. And the technology that's in the 223, I think it's taken away from the feel just a little bit. I want to put it out there. If I was being constructive about these, I've kind of preferred Mizuno irons in the past, as you can tell with this MP32. But the Mizuno Pro irons, I don't think are going to disappoint if you are a true Mizuno fan, but I can't wait to see. That's a 7 iron, that. These are just the best irons ever, by the way, if anyone's interested. I can't wait to see where Mizuno go next. I would hope they kind of rein it back a little bit, go back to the MP line as opposed to the Mizuno Professional line, even though the Mizuno Professional line's older than the MP line, but you know what I mean. That's in at number 9, and if a Mizuno is at number 9, imagine what's in that top 8. So at number 8 is an iron which, in the past, I've kind of stayed away from because of how they were made, the construction of them, and to be honest, how poorly they felt, but not anymore. Guys, the Ping Blueprint S irons are absolutely gorgeous irons. They feature a precision pocket and elastomer insert in the longer irons to help you get that launch, help you get, to be honest, that enhanced feel, and the forged element around the cavity back really is something special. So this looks outstanding. That's the first real bad one we've hit. I'll be amazed to see if that does go the distance. This is the 6 iron in the Ping, and that's pitch 177, so quite happy with that. You'll see we also have that tungsten weighting in there to match that kind of cavity back here, and we also have Ping's iconic little notch in the hosel there. I think these look really good. The Blueprint tees are they're gorgeous, but no one is going to use them, are they, realistically? You'd have to be either the world's best ball striker or a total idiot to use the Blueprint. Even in the lower irons, like even in the wedge and the 9-iron, people might get these in split set and proper regret having the Blueprint tee like wedge 9 and 8. I feel like with the S, it's one of the first times that Ping have really made an iron that feels fantastic, and that's why I wanted to kind of get them in to my top 10. I think they deserve to be in the top 10, and just looking at that design, I can't wait to see again where Ping maybe move on from this, because they've gone away from that kind of casting and moved into the forging process with their players' irons. So they still have that lovely feel of potentially the old S59s and things like that. But we have, look at that. Frightening. Frightening. Guys, that's number 8. We've got so many to come. So many fantastic clubs to come. Okay, we're boxing off the big names, and this could be the biggest name in golf. Certainly when it comes to marketing terms, and they're at number 7. These are the 2024 TaylorMade P7 CB irons, and they look outstanding. When I first saw the last year's or 2 years ago P7 CB irons, I thought, oh, there's a bit of a kind of grill looking thing. I'm not too sure. They've brought back the RAC look with these, and I'm a huge, huge fan of that. And they feel pretty good. I don't think they feel quite as soft as some of the irons that are higher up in our rankings. They're very expensive, just like the Pings. If these and the Pings were a couple of £100 less, they would literally be up at 1 and 2, because they are that good, but they are very expensive as well. So technological wise in here, there's not a lot. They are forged out of a really soft steel, and they look absolutely tiny. That blade length is really, really short. The top line's nice and thin. There's minimal offset. And it's everything that, to be honest, a player would want from a CB iron, but it feels so much better than the last generation. So again, I'll be interested to see potentially what moves on. This is a really nice kind of combo set with the MB, the CB, and potentially even the 770 up in the top as well. I could see lots of players doing that. And with this P7 CB, it's almost like a firm feel, but a nice firm feel. I'm swinging really well today, right? Like I can't believe what's happening here today. That's a nice little 179. Spinning at 5.5, which I think is really good for me with this kind of set makeup. I think I called that the wrong name. No, P7CB. I was going to call this the MC because it's more of a muscle cavity, but now I hit the nail on the head with that. And really, really impressive. Just impressive all around, to be honest. I wish it was cheaper. And I wish it was a little bit more kind of attainable for the everyday golfer, because these shots I'm hitting here go on, are really, really enjoyable. The fact you can go and get fitted for these, and you can obviously get everything you do want. I love that little shiny T-bug as well in the corner. I get so distracted by that, the little things. But the fact they've also gone back to the RAC look, which I've mentioned earlier, really, really nice. This is 3 for 3 in the circle, Rob. Are you ready? With the TaylorMade. Oh, I've just pulled it a little bit. It's a shame. How much further has it gone with the pull? Is it too far? It's a little bit further. It's a 180 carry, but still very nice. Still spinning at 5.6 and still in at number 7 of my top 10. Imagine what's it like 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Oh, it's going to be crazy. Okay, so this is one that you will have all heard of. You'll all have totally forgotten about, and then you'll have reheard of them again, hopefully, because you watched my review on them. And then at number 6 is a 6-iron, isn't it, Bobby? Perfect. So it's the Lynx. These Lynx, I think what they're called. I can't remember what they're called. They don't have a... Well, I found it, and this is what I have to do when I forget. But they're called the Lynx Prowler MB100 irons. So again, these have now gone D2C, direct to consumer. The reason why they're so high up, I'm keeping this out because there's a point I want to prove in a second, but the reason why they're so high up is because they're that little bit cheaper. They're $599 for a full set. And what I really like is when we talk about tech in these, basically the fully forged muscle back design, classic shape, soft feel, and a slim sole. And that's literally all you need to know about the Lynx Prowler irons. For me, I think this is where my heartstrings kind of go to. They go to brands like this, they go to brands like Toro, brands like Tacoma, brands that try and make golf more attainable for everybody. This iron looks as good as anything that I've tested this year. It's a little bit more boxy. It's a little bit more kind of squared off. And it sounds maybe a little bit kind of deeper thud for a strike. But again, you look at how far that's gone. It's pitched on the number that I want it to, 181. Released out a little bit. Spin was a little bit lower because I've duffed it just a little bit. But for a cavity back, we still have plenty of weighting in the bottom here, especially where that sweet's going to be on the reverse side where the face is. So that's really important to know. And obviously we have a tiny bit of perimeter weighting there on the top line. So that's going to help you. It's going to spread that CG out just a little bit. Essentially, that's what perimeter weighting is. And I just think with premium components now, oh, there we go, Rob. Oh, how's that not fading? Come on. Am I swinging better? I feel like I'm swinging really well today. I'm really enjoying this video. 184, 5.5 min. These numbers are all very similar, aren't they? I'm hitting a lot of 6 irons, and to be honest, they're all going around 180 with 5,500 spin. The reason for that is because the lofts are all going to be very similar. The tech stories are all pretty similar. There's a little cavity on there. They're a nice forged head. And to be honest, the shafts are all premium components. They're all KBS or something along those lines with a nice Lampkin or Golf Pride grip on there. This is where these companies can now charge you a lot less without having to break the bank on their margins, because these premium components are now available to all rather than just to the big brands. Gone are the days of buying a set of direct-to-consumer irons and the shaft's basically like a shoestring out of someone's trainer and the grip's like a marigold that's being melted down and put on the end of the club. So there's a couple more of these direct-to-consumer irons in my top 5. Oh, that's the worst swing of the day. Is that going to kill? It's not going to be good, that is it. That's for where I've hit that. That's ridiculous. Watch this replay of the strike. Outrageous and outrageous. Okay, we're in the top 5. We're at number 5. And the reason why we're at number 5 and the reason why this iron is at number 5 is because it goes through a 5-stage forging process. Did you know that, Bobby? I didn't. It also has progressive CG all the way throughout the set and different sole cambers on the different irons. I think Callaway have smashed it out of the park with their irons over the last few years, and the Apex CBs are no exception to that rule. You see, the thing with these is, I'm going to hit you a couple, and I think they're as good as pretty much anything on the market in 2024. They feel fantastic. The tech story is there, and to be honest, not just the tech story, but the whole, flag high again, it's perfect. This is a 7-iron as well, I didn't realise. But the whole tech savvy story is there. But Callaway have too many irons out. There's the Apex CBs, there's the Apex AI 200s, Apex AI 300s, Apex Thai Fusions, there's the Paradigms, there's the Paradigm HLs. I've probably missed a couple as well. And if you're the world's biggest Callaway fan, which I'd say I'm a big Callaway fan, I'm a fan of most of the big brands and what they do, and I go in and I think, oh, I want some Callaway irons. You used to go in and you'd be like, oh yeah, I'll have the X16 or the X16 Pros. I mean, that's a long time ago, Bobby, you won't remember that, will you? Or maybe the Big Berthas. But now there's just too many. And I feel like it kind of takes away from a little bit about what they're trying to do with the irons. It takes away from the specialness of the irons. And they're very expensive again. They're £1,100-ish for a full set. Well, that was a little bit short. But I feel like with these, you can work them a little bit. You get the forgiveness. There's also that kind of mimmed weighting as well that can help you. It moves CG around in the different heads to allow you to get different forgiveness levels and different trajectories. So with this 7-iron, if I want to play it a little bit lower now, I can do it. I can play that little kind of cut down one. Look at that. It's gorgeous, isn't it? And that should just release out a bit more because it's lower and the spin dropped to 5,000. So I can do all those things I want to do. But which iron would you go for? Do you know which Callaway iron you'd buy tomorrow if someone said?
It's like a sweet shop.
It is like a sweet shop. And for some people that might not be a bad thing, but for me, I'd like it to be narrowed down a little bit. I think they could just have the Apex range and you'd be fine. But that isn't number 5 of my top 10. Guys, comment below if you're still here. What do you think to 5 to 10? And what do you think is going to be in the top 4? This is going to get really interesting really soon. Right, number 4, and I think if I had to have a full bag this year with one brand, it would be with this brand. I think they've hit it out the park with the woods, with the putters, with the wedges, even with the golf ball. And I think these 0317 range of irons are outstanding. So we have a couple of different sets in these ranges. We have the STs, we have the CBs, and we have the Ts. Is that right? 0317T, 0317ST, and 0317CB. So there's 3. And I think that's fine. There's also the Black Ops as well, which you can get now. And there's, to be honest, very similar to the Callaway, there's a lot of different irons, isn't there? There's also the Gen 7s. But in at number 4 for me are the PXG 0317CB irons. And I'm really pleased I memorized that and got it right, because all these numbers, it's not easy to do. These are probably the best feeling expensive iron you can get. And the reason why I like them so much is I went for a fitting down at PXG for these clubs, and the level of fitting was extraordinary. We just took Brett down actually for a mid-handicap fitting, and again, the no stone left unturnedness is quite ridiculous, and I feel like it's certainly something that more people could kind of go with and could potentially try and just help you take you to the next level of your game. Feel-wise, it's almost like a soft click when you hit it off the face. I pulled that a little bit, but it's a nice 176, 5,500 spin. And to say a soft click, I'm not very good at explaining feelings. Like, I wish everyone could feel this, and I wish everyone could come and hit one, because one thing they've managed to do is really kind of get something going where, so I've got a set of these, and I have the split set between the CBs and the STs. The STs are the bladed iron that I've got 8, 9 and wedge. And I feel like they're mould in incredibly well, like ridiculously well. And then if you want to, with your 4 iron, maybe even your 5 iron, you could go 0317T, which is the hollow-bodied variant. And I think in the long irons, that's ridiculous. So they're in at number 4. I feel like looks-wise, this is pretty much what Ping would like to look like, personally, I think. And obviously we all, look at that. We all know that Ping, maybe some of the designers have maybe worked together in the past. I think that's fair to say, isn't it? But guys, they're at number 4. We're moving into the top 3. And again, if these were cheaper, they'd probably be number 1. I don't know if I'm giving something away here, but I feel like I'm trying to do my best with performance, with looks, and with budget. They're kind of my 3 factors. And they're in at number 4. Okay, we're on the podiums. We're in at number 3. And this is an iron which I owe an apology to, because I'd tried this, I'd tested it, I'd reviewed it, and I never really gave it the time of day. And I don't know why, because back in the day when I was an assistant PGA professional, I used to go for a club fitting with this brand all the time, and I always religiously just ordered the new irons. And I kind of stopped doing that. This is a 7 iron, by the way. And I don't know why, because for me, I love this brand. I think what they do with the golf ball, with the drivers now, and with the putters and wedges is remarkable. It's the Titleist T100s. And the reason why I owe these an apology is because I never really thought about playing these or gaming them. Then I went for a club fitting at SGGT, a totally unbiased club fitting. I walked in, I says, Mr. SGGT, or Lawrence, as we like to know him, just fit me for anything. Anything you want. Put me in the right shaft, put me in the right head. And I'm sure you don't see much of a difference. As you'll see here today, we've hit 10 different irons. And depending on the strike, you can see that dispersion-wise, there's been a couple of 7 irons, a couple of 6 irons. They've all been pretty good. But the T100s, for me, feel really good. They offer me the versatility to hit that kind of shot there, where I play it down a little bit in the wind and knock the spin off it. But they also give me that level of feedback and forgiveness. So if you look at the bottom of this, you can see loads of weight in here just in the sole. There's obviously the T150 as well, which you could get in a bit of a split set, moving up to the T200s and even T300s. So I think Titleist have a nice close-knit family of irons there, and they don't have a GT iron, which I praise Titleist for massively, because you don't need an iron with your driver branding on it. Contrary to what a lot of big brands think, I just don't think you do. I think you almost want your own kind of iron brand, as it were, which the T-Range is. I'd love to see them go back to AP2 and AP3, because for me, I remember, was it even AP1s, wasn't there? AP1, AP2. Was it an AP3? AP1 and AP2, wasn't it? When Jordan Spieth was using the AP2s, that was my kind of era of, yeah, these irons are fantastic. They're probably some of the best out there. Zach Johnson was using the AP1s because he wanted the forgiveness. And now that is the worst shot of it all day. We're starting to tire a little bit. I don't usually hit this many shots. Still got 153 though with a 7 and a duff, so we'll take that all day long. But guys, the Titleist isn't at number 3. Again, it's on the more price point. It's on the high side, isn't it? But in at number 2 in a second, you'll see we have something more budget orientated. And I'm really pleased to finish on that with the Titleist because they're really good. And they deserve to be on the podium. Okay, so we're at number 2. There's just one solemn person or iron stood next to this iron at number 1. It's peering down on all those big names, and it's a little bit more affordable than what you might think. Now, I will always have a soft spot for this company, and this is Takomo. Now, Takomo initially came on the scene, you could say they burst onto the scene like a young Mika Richards with the 101 irons. They were the hollow-bodied, the big irons, the forgiving ones, and then we saw the 201s. The 201s for me weren't the best, and I kind of relayed that with the guys at Tacoma. I said, look, the 101s are brilliant for me. They do what you want them to do. The 201s, they're forged iron, but they don't feel fantastic. And then they threw the 301s at us. So with a 301 CB, we also have a 301 MB, and these are the black finish ones. So you can't get these at the moment. I'm hoping they do release them. This is Chris's iron from our Next 100 tour, and I, of course, have the copper heads as well. I absolutely love them. I love how good they feel. I love that everybody who tries them loves them as well. And I love the price of them because you can go and pick these irons up for pretty much half the price of some of the bigger name brands. And for me, I don't know what's come up there, Rob. Can you read Korean? Can you read Korean? Right, we had a little technical difficulty with the simulator there, but we are back. And I really enjoy, again, we go back to that chat about components, about premium components, about KBS shafts, about Lampkin grips, and about being able to get good value for money. Because nowadays, there's not a lot in this world that I think's good value. There's plenty of cheap stuff, there's plenty of really expensive stuff, and there's plenty of golf products that you can go and spend a lot of money on. Some of them are kind of down there, still in the top 10. It doesn't make them a bad club, but if you come to trade them in, you lose a lot of money. Whereas with these, I feel like you can buy them D2C, not that you would trade them in, but if you were to think, right, I can't lose that much money because they didn't actually cost me that much money, and they're a really nice feeling, performing, cheap budget iron. Feel-wise, that's insanity, isn't it? For the price that you get, that is absolutely ridiculous. I know Rick's just done a review on these and really, really enjoyed them. Pete really enjoyed them. Lots of people like me in the online space, I think it's hard to test these and then go back to something that's double the price and try and say it's good value for money when you can obviously save yourself the money. You can spend that on lessons, on green fees, on golf holidays, or kind of all of the above. And then you can get an iron that performs like that for you. That's number 2. And it could quite easily be at number 1. But number 1 is sat there on its lonesome, and I honestly think it does just peer down on all of these irons that we've spoken about today. It's nice mid-priced, it performs incredibly well, it looks incredibly well, it's steeped in history. What do you think it is? What do you think it is, Rob?
I know what it is.
You know what it is?
I know it.
Oh, right. Guys, get in the comments below, what do you think number 1 is? And it is, major championship-wise, the most successful iron brand ever, and that's why it's a Wilson Staff CB irons. Now, the reason why this looks so beat up is because I lent it Chris. So thank you very much for that, Chris. But it's good to see them get put to some use, and to be honest, I think Wilson just keep making exceptional irons, and they're a little bit cheaper than some of the bigger name irons. They still feel phenomenal, and we don't need a load of tech in here. Now, I was lucky enough to play the Elsa course at Turnberry with Paul Lorry. Paul Lorry, we all know, won the Open in '99 at Carnoustie. And he hit these irons, and I said, Paul, you hit those that well, what's the secret? And he says, well, I've never really changed. I've used Wilson irons since like the day of dawn, and whenever he gets fitted into new irons, it's always a very similar process. And he says he just feels at home with them. The fact that they feel fantastic and they perform as well as anything out there, I think does speak volumes for the brand. Wilson, obviously, is one of those brands that isn't just a golf brand. Obviously, they're huge in baseball, huge in basketball. To be honest, they're huge in all ball sports, aren't they? Do you know where Wilson started, Bobby?
I don't.
It was actually a butcher's.
Oh.
It was a butcher's, I think, and I hope I'm not butchering this story, but they used to use the carcasses and the skins and everything else to make American footballs, to make baseballs, to make basketballs, and even like basically nothing got wasted within that butcher's. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
I think I've got that right, and if I haven't, I will put something on screen that kind of gets that story out there. But the fact they've been around for so long for me does really help the story. You can tell that my swing is getting a bit tired now, but having tested all these irons, guys, if you bought any of the irons that's in my top 10, I don't think you would be disappointed. I think you could certainly save yourself some money by looking at the more budget options. And I also think everybody should go and get fitted for the iron that suits you the best. Guys, if you've enjoyed that, please smash that subscribe button below. I was really hoping to hold one of these shots in this video. Maybe we can hold this one. That feels so good. So good. Another one. So literally, guys, I'm going to stand here all day now and just hit these Wilson irons until the cows come home and we can make some more basketballs. Just stay straight. Stay straight. Wonderful. I've enjoyed that, have you? Good.